Cops, do you consider yourself a good cop? I thought I was until last Tuesday when I arrested a woman for stealing baby formula. She was 19, holding a screaming 3-month-old in the grocery store parking lot. The formula was stuffed in her jacket. 2 cans still had the security tags on them. Store manager had her cornered when we pulled up. He was this middle-aged guy in a wrinkled shirt going on about how theft is theft, and he's tired of losing inventory. My partner Nick got there first, and I could tell from his face this was going to be by the book. I ran her name and found 3 prior theft charges, all dismissed. Same store, same item every time. Formula. The manager said that's exactly why he wanted her arrested this time, because clearly the warnings weren't working. She'd been caught 4 times this month alone. Nick started reading her rights, but I couldn't stop watching that baby. The kid was underweight, you could see it. Pale skin, crying that specific hungry cry that sounds different from a regular tantrum. It's desperate, almost hoarse. I've heard it before on welfare checks. I asked her when the baby last ate. She said 8 hours ago, maybe more. She lost track. Her hands were shaking as she tried to bounce the baby to calm him down, but it wasn't working. The kid was starving. I asked where the father was. She just looked at me with these exhausted red eyes like she hadn't slept in days and said he took all our money to Atlantic City 2 days ago. Haven't heard from him since. Phone's disconnected. I filed a missing persons report yesterday, but they said he probably just left. Nick's getting impatient now, saying we don't have time for this. We have actual calls waiting. The store manager's crossing his arms saying, if we don't arrest her, he's calling my sergeant because this is exactly the kind of soft policing that's ruining this town. The baby won't stop crying. I'm standing there with my cuffs out thinking about my own daughter Scarlett at home who's 5 years old and never missed a meal in her entire life. Never gone to bed hungry, never had to watch her mom get arrested for trying to feed her. And I'm supposed to arrest this exhausted teenager for trying to feed her kid because she stole an $18 can of formula from a store that throws away hundreds of dollars of expired food every week. The girl's crying now too, not making a scene, just quiet tears running down her face while she's trying to keep the baby from screaming. She keeps saying, I'm sorry, I didn't know what else to do. I looked at the store manager and said the formula's damaged now. You can't sell it anyway. He started to argue, but I cut him off and said, unless you want me to check if your security guard has the proper licensing, because I noticed his certifications looked expired. I suggest you write this off as damaged inventory and move on. His face went red, but he backed off. I turned to Nick and said, I'm handling this. You can go deal with the other calls. He gave me this look like I was making a huge mistake, but he got in his car and left. I told the girl she's banned from this store permanently, and if I catch her here again, I'm arresting her. No second chances. She just stood there shaking, asking if I'm serious, if I'm really letting her go. I walked her to my cruiser and pulled out 2 cans of formula from my trunk that my wife Scarlett keeps for emergencies because she volunteers at a women's shelter. I handed them to her and told her there's a food bank on Maple Street that opens at 9 tomorrow morning, and there's a WIC office on 5th that can get her set up with assistance. She started crying harder and tried to hug me, but I stepped back and said, just go take care of your kid. She left and I sat in my car for 10 minutes just staring at the steering wheel. Nick didn't talk to me the whole rest of the shift. When we got back to the station, he went straight to the locker room without a word. I wrote up the report as a warning for trespassing with a permanent ban from the premises. Later that night, my sergeant called me into his office. Someone had called him, probably the store manager. He asked me why I let her go when she had 3 priors and clear intent to steal. I told him I made a judgment call based on the circumstances. He leaned back in his chair and said, judgment calls are how good cops become bad cops. The law is the law for a reason. If everyone got a pass because they had a sob story, we wouldn't have a justice system. Good cops follow the law, not their feelings. I went home that night and watched Scarlett eat her dinner, chicken nuggets and fries, complaining they were too hot. My wife asked how my day was, and I just said it was fine. But I keep thinking about that baby's cry, and I keep thinking about what my sergeant said. I joined this job because I wanted to help people and make my community safer. But somewhere along the way, helping people started looking like letting criminals go, and being a good cop started meaning I'd have to arrest a starving baby. So I honestly don't know anymore if I'm a good cop or just a cop who couldn't arrest a hungry baby.